There are two maps of Appalachia. There is the one the tourists carry, fog on the ridges, a banjo on the porch, a quilt square barn, and there is the one the locals keep, the one with roads they will not drive after dark and hollows they will not walk into at all. Some of these places are dangerous because of what happened there, and a few are dangerous because what happened there never really stopped. Number 15. Centralia, Columbia County, Pennsylvania. Start with the town that has been on fire longer than you have been alive. In 1962, a coal seam under Centralia caught fire, and it never went out. It is still burning today. The state condemned the whole borough by eminent domain. The population dropped to single digits, and the houses came down one by one until the streets just led into grass. The famous stretch of old Route 61 cracked open from the heat, and smoke still threads up through the seams on cold mornings. The people here never feared ghosts. They feared the ground temperature and the carbon monoxide seeping up where the earth had gone hollow and hot. The danger does not lunge at you. It waits, and it keeps a schedule measured in decades. Number 14. The New River Gorge Backroads, Fayette County, West Virginia. Everyone photographs the bridge. Almost nobody goes down. Below that famous steel arch, the old coal camp roads thread along the gorge walls, single lanes carved for trucks that stopped running generations ago. The grades wash out, the tipples sit collapsed in the brush, and your phone signal dies around the first switchback. What keeps locals off those lower roads isn't crime. It's the arithmetic. Put a wheel over the edge down there and nobody's coming. Nobody even knows to look. Up top, it's a national park. Down below, it's just you and a long, quiet drop. Number 13. Moonville Tunnel, Vinton County, Ohio. This is a tunnel that leads to a town that no longer exists. Moonville was a rail stop deep in what's now Zaleski State Forest. A coal settlement that emptied out more than a century ago and left nothing but its brick portal standing in the trees. There's no road in. You walk the old grade, or you don't go. Now, according to local legend, a lantern-swinging brakeman still wanders the line. Take that for what it is. A story. The real reason people hesitate is more honest. It's a long walk to a place where the only thing waiting is brick, dark, and the sound of your own boots. The ghost is a legend. The isolation is real. And here's the thing about all of these. None of them are the dangerous ones. Not really. We're still in the shallow end. Number 12. Pickens County's Hollows, South Carolina Blue Ridge Escarpment. Most people don't think of South Carolina as mountain country. That's the mistake. Up in the northwest corner, the Blue Ridge drops hard and fast, and the hollows fold back into terrain where the map stops naming the roads. The waterfalls pull crowds. A few of them quietly kill someone almost every year. The rock stays wet and slick, the drop-offs have no guardrails, and algae on granite behaves exactly like ice. Flash floods rip through the chutes after a hard rain with no warning at all. Locals know which pretty spots have a body count. The danger here doesn't look like danger. It looks like a wet rock and a long way down. Number 11. The Radio Quiet Zone, Pocahontas County, West Virginia. Here's a place engineered to be silent. Pocahontas County sits inside the National Radio Quiet Zone, where high-powered signals are restricted by law to protect the giant radio telescope at Green Bank. Your phone is useless. Wi-Fi is throttled, and the deep forest swallows whatever signal wanders in. Nothing here wants to hurt you. What unsettles people is the absence. Stand in a true signal-dead silence. No notifications, no hum, none of the static of the connected world. A lot of visitors find out they don't much like their own company. You don't fear what's there, you fear what isn't. Number 10. McRoberts and the Letcher County Coal Camps, Kentucky. These are company towns the company walked away from. They were built fast in the eastern Kentucky coal fields, housing, commissary, church, all of it owned by the operator. And they existed for one reason. The seam underneath made them worth existing. Then the coal economy shrank. The jobs left, the people followed, and what is left now is flood-scarred hollows giving back to the hillside. But the locals do not avoid certain stretches just because they are empty. They avoid them because the land was undermined, literally tunneled out beneath the surface until the ground stopped trusting itself. When the rain comes hard, the water has nowhere to go, but down into the hollows, and the floods hit the places the mining left hollow underneath. There is a reason the older residents read the sky before they drive certain roads. The danger here was not added to the place. It was carved out from under it. And then everyone with options left. Number 9. Dante, Russell County, Virginia. Dante is a railroad town the railroad forgot. It is tucked into a steep, cramped valley in southwest Virginia, and it was once a busy hub for the Clinchfield coal operation. The trains, the paychecks, the whole reason for being there all ran on the same schedule. Then that schedule ended. The buildings still line the narrow bottom, but a lot of them are not safe to stand inside anymore. Roofs sagging, porches pulling off the walls. The river floods, and it does not care that people still live here. There is real tenderness in the place. The old folks who stayed, a small museum run by people who refuse to let it disappear. But emptiness is its own hazard. The locals know which buildings to keep their kids away from, because in a town preserved by neglect, the next thing to give way might be the floor under your feet. Number 8. Hawks Nest, Fayette County, West Virginia. This overlook sits on top of one of the worst industrial disasters in American history. The view is genuinely stunning, the New River curling far below, and tourists pull over for the photo with no idea what happened in the rock beneath them. In the early 1930s, workers were sent to drill a diversion tunnel through a mountain made largely of silica. They worked in clouds of that dust with almost no protection, and they died of acute silicosis in numbers historians still debate today. Hundreds of men died, many of them black laborers brought in from out of state, some buried in unmarked graves nearby. Documented records put the death toll among the highest of any industrial project in the country. The tunnel still moves water for a power plant. The locals here do not avoid the danger so much as the memory. The beauty is real. It is just stacked on a body count. Chapter 2. Number 7. Buffalo Creek Hollow, Logan County, West Virginia. Some places stay quiet on purpose. On a February morning in 1972, a coal slurry dam at the head of this narrow hollow gave way, and a wall of black water and waste came down through the mining communities below. It killed 125 people. It wiped entire settlements off the map in minutes. The hollow got rebuilt. Houses went back up along the same creek, because where else were people going to go? But to the families on that water, the flood is not history. It is living memory, passed down at kitchen tables. And there is ground up there people still will not build on. They were told it was an act of God. Documented records show it was a dam that should never have held what it held. The water only had to come down once. Nobody up there has trusted the ridgeline since. Number 6. The Cumberland Gap, Backcountry, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia. Tri-Corner. This is the gateway. Everybody crossed, and almost nobody stayed in. 250,000 settlers funneled through this notch in the mountains before there were real roads. Today, it is a national park, and most visitors see the overlook, the visitor center, the paved part. The backcountry behind it is a different animal, with sheer ridges, caves running into the dark, and terrain where one wrong turn off the trail puts you somewhere rescue crews will spend days trying to reach. People get lost back there. Rescue teams have repeatedly responded to hikers who stepped off a marked path for 10 minutes and could not find their way back. The country does not make it easy to be found. The locals do not talk about the gap with fear. They talk about it with respect, the way you talk about something that has swallowed careless people before, and is patient enough to do it again. And from here, the danger stops being something that happened. From here, the ground itself starts working against you. Number 5, Lake Shawnee, abandoned amusement park. Mercer County, West Virginia. Picture a rotting Ferris wheel standing over ground that was contested long before anyone sold a ticket. To understand this place, you have to go back further than the rides. In the late 1700s, this flat stretch of southern West Virginia belonged to a settler named Mitchell Clay, one of the first to claim land in the area. The history is bloody and well documented. A violent conflict on this ground left members of Clay's family dead, and the fallout reached deep into the region's frontier history. That was the land. More than a century later, in the 1920s, an amusement park opened right on top of it with swings, a swimming pool, a circle ride, the ordinary machinery of a good day out. Then children died there in separate accidents over the years, the kind that close a place and keep it closed. The park shuttered, reopened, shuttered again, and the rides were finally left to rust where they stood. Now, here is the part that does the real work, and it is not a ghost story. Archaeological digs on the site turned up native burials that predate the park entirely. Graves under the Midway, documented by the people who excavated them. According to local legend, the place is haunted. Take that or leave it. What is not legend is the record. Contested ground, real deaths, real burials, and a park built on top of all of it anyway. Number 4, McDowell County, southern West Virginia coal fields. You've read about this county in headlines. You've almost certainly never driven through it. McDowell County was once one of the great coal-producing places in America, with a population that pushed near 100,000 at its peak. Today, it's a fraction of that, one of the steepest population collapses anywhere in the country. The coal that built it left, and almost everything left with it. It has sat near the bottom of national life expectancy rankings for years. And the isolation isn't an abstraction. It's an old man having a heart attack in a hollow 1 hour from the nearest emergency room, on a road that floods out before the ambulance can reach him. Those rivers rise often, tearing through the narrow hollows with nowhere to spread, taking homes and roads that were already barely hanging on. Then the opioid crisis hit this stretch as hard as anywhere in the nation, in a place where the jobs and the clinics and the young people had already gone. This isn't a place to gawk at, and it isn't melodrama. It's a region where the danger of simply living somewhere gets measured in miles to the nearest open hospital. The headlines got the numbers right. They never explained the roads. We haven't even reached the places where the ground itself becomes the threat. The top 3 are dangerous for a much simpler reason. The mountain doesn't care if you make it home. Number 3, Dolly Sods, Tucker County, West Virginia. There's a tundra in West Virginia that has no business existing this far south, and it comes with a buried hazard most hikers never think about. Dolly Sods sits high on the Allegheny Plateau, a wind-scoured stretch of bog and stunted spruce, the trees flagged sideways by a wind that never stops. The weather is the first thing that can kill you up there. It turns without asking, sun to whiteout in a single afternoon. And hikers caught in it have gone hypothermic in conditions that started out mild. There's no signal up there to call for help, and the bogs themselves are a trap, soft ground that soaks you to the waist and pulls the heat right out of your body. Search and rescue teams know this plateau well, because the terrain looks the same in every direction, and people lose the trail fast when the cloud comes down. But none of that is what earns it this spot. This entire plateau was a United States military artillery and mortar range during World War II. And not every shell that was fired up here went off. Crews have cleared what they could over the decades. The official guidance is still blunt: stay on the trails, and if you find ordnance, do not touch it. It's one of the only places on Earth where the wildflowers come with a warning about live munitions under the heath. Number 2. The abandoned mine roads above Glomauer, Letcher Perry County line, Kentucky. This is where the roads stop meaning anything. Push far enough up the unmaintained mine access roads in this part of eastern Kentucky, and you hit a locked tipple, a chained gate, a grade that just ends at a drop. The danger here isn't reputation, and it isn't memory. It's physical, and it's right now. The ground in old deep mining country is honeycombed with workings nobody ever fully mapped. Miles of tunnel cut into the mountain and then abandoned, with no reliable record of where they run. The surface above them subsides without warning. A road, a yard, a hillside settles and opens because the support underneath rotted away decades ago. Abandoned shafts sit unmarked in the brush. Some are flooded, black water filling a vertical drop you would never see until you were already in it, and the cold takes a strong swimmer fast. Others are worse because they hold what miners have always feared most: bad air. Methane can ignite from a single spark, and oxygen-poor pockets give your body no signal, no warning, no time. Men have stepped into an old opening to take a look and simply not come back up, and the crews who go after them face the exact same air. That's why so many of these mouths have been sealed by the state, and why the sealed ones still aren't safe, because the mountain keeps shifting behind the seal. There is no cell service up there. No traffic, nobody to wave down. The locals stay off it for the same reason they won't walk a frozen pond in April. The part of the danger you can't see is the part that's already decided. The map shows a road. The ground underneath has other plans. Number 1. The Wild Cave and Sinkhole Karst Country, South Central Kentucky Plateau. And the most dangerous ground in all of Appalachia is the part you can't see at all. Number 1 isn't a town, it isn't a road, and it isn't a haunted ruin. It's under the map. South Central Kentucky sits on a vast limestone plateau, dissolved by water over millions of years into the longest cave system on Earth. Mammoth Cave alone has more than 400 mapped miles of passage, and the people who study it will tell you flatly they don't know where it ends. New passage gets connected almost every year. The lit, ticketed tunnels the tourists walk through are a sliver. Beyond the rope is Wild Cave, and Wild Cave does not forgive. Start with the water. A passage can be bone dry 1 hour and a drowning trap the next, because a thunderstorm miles away on the surface drains straight down into the system and fills a crawlway before you can back out of it. Cavers have been pinned exactly that way, trapped by water rising in a tunnel they walked into dry, listening to it come. Then there are the pits, vertical drops in total darkness that fall hundreds of feet, where a single missed handhold ends everything. And there's the air, the same bad air that haunts the mines. Pockets where the oxygen quietly runs out and a caver gets confused, then sleepy, then gone, never understanding why. That's why a cave rescue is one of the hardest things on Earth to pull off. When someone goes down deep and doesn't come back, crews can't just carry them out. They thread a stretcher through gaps a person can barely fit through alone, haul it up vertical shafts, drag it through cold water, working in shifts around the clock, and a single recovery can swallow days. Picture that. A team of people crawling for 2 days through the dark to reach one person who already knew these caves. And on the surface, the same rock that hollows out below opens up above. Sinkholes form here with no warning at all. A field, a driveway, a road Ground that held for generations gives way into a hole that was always there, just waiting under a thin skin of soil. People in this part of Kentucky grow up knowing the ground is not entirely on their side, that the land is quietly eating itself from the inside. That's the correction this whole list has been building toward. Appalachia's deadliest danger was never the ghost stories the tours sell, and it was never quite the menace outsiders picture when they look at these hills. It was the geology, patient, hollow, and unmapped. And it was everything the leaving left behind. So the next time someone hands you the postcard, remember, the people who live here are reading a second map, the one the brochures never print, where the prettiest ground hides the deepest drop. Tell me about the place you grew up near, the one locals quietly warn each other away from, the one that never makes the tourist sites. And there is another map already waiting on your screen, because the mountains kept more secrets than one video could ever hold.